Hascule, the Flawless Blade, is the newest Emperor's Children character to hit Warhammer Tacticus. He promises elite melee devastation, but is he actually worth the grind? Or is this just another mid-tier character hiding behind flashy animations? So let's cut through the noise and look at all the data together. Before we dive into the mechanics, let's talk about who the Flawless Blades actually are in the Warhammer 40k universe, because understanding their lore helps explain exactly what Hascule should be doing on the battlefield. The Flawless Blades are the elite of the elite within the Emperor's Children's Traitor Legion. They aren't just your standard Chaos Space Marines, they're peerless bladesmen who have been granted demonic power directly by Slaanesh, the Dark Prince of Chaos. What makes them terrifying? They represent the Emperor's Children's twisted pursuit of perfection taken to its absolute extreme. Once the Emperor's Children were noble warriors dedicated to martial excellence, but after their fall to chaos, that dedication became an obsession, and the Flawless Blades embody that corruption completely. These warriors are consumed by pride and arrogance. They don't just fight. Like many Emperor's Children, they perform. Every swing of their signature Bliss Blades is meant to be a work of art, a display of superlative swordsmanship designed to entertain their demonic masters. They revel in their own skill and the suffering they inflict. Their combat style is based on unnatural speed and grace granted by demonic mutations. They specialize in close quarters devastation, particularly against heroes and elites. They're duelists at heart, arrogance incarnate who believe no opponent can match their blade work. So when we evaluate Hascule, we're asking, does he live up to this legacy? Does he deliver the elite melee performance that the Flawless Blades are known for? Well, let's see. To unlock Hascule, you need to play his hero release event called Honor the Prince, which starts on Sunday, December the 7th. In the event, you have to play missions to collect pledge points, which are converted into twisted symbols. Then these are used to unlock exquisite chests, which give you Hascule, shards, and other goodies. These shards then let you unlock and level up Hascule. And as always, you can see the missions on screen now. And if you need help with these missions and getting the best possible start, then definitely check out my beginner's guide to character events, which is linked in the description below. The real thing here though is just to play through these missions, use your 110 energy boost every day, and play the tournament arena, and then you will manage to get him at Epic 1 level by the end of his event. And in the meantime, if you want to earn some free Blackstone to help you on your way, you can use my Referral Code in-game today to get 100 free Blackstone. Just note that you can only use one person's Referral Code, so make sure you make the most of it. Hascule is a Chaos character. He only has the Emperor's Children faction trait called Thrill Seekers, and it triggers whenever Hascule takes damage or targets an enemy with full health. Then he becomes thrilled for 1 round, and while he's thrilled, his crit chance is increased, and if he defeats an enemy, it's always overkilled. And he also has the parry trait, which reduces multi-hit melee attacks by 1 down to a minimum of 1, so a little bit of defense in there. He has a 3-hit piercing melee attack with 80% pierce ratio and no ranged attack. And his relic is the Intoxicating Elixir, which is the same as Chiron and Adamater. It adds extra crit damage for each unit in range that's suppressed, stunned, taunted or thrilled up to 6 times, and the bonus is doubled if Hascule is below 50%. And that's kinda crazy because a full set of Emperor's Children with these relics is gonna be very, very powerful. Next, we'll look at the character's melee damage, range damage, and defense. We do this by leveling the character up to be Winged Diamond 3, with level 30 skills and no weapons or equipment. This is just to equalize the playing field. Then Castellan Creed, the character with the most average armor and traits in the game, becomes a punching bag for them to test their damage. And finally, Creed will punch them back to see their defensive skills. This is all then ranked against everyone else in the game, so let's see how they do today. So let's see how Hascule stacks up against the competition. Creed, are you ready for today's test? Today we have Hascule, the Flawless Blade.
On the 12th day of chaos my trauma gave to me, 12 demons shrieking, 11 limbs a flailing, 10 cultists chanting, and a heretic inside a dead tree.
Beautiful, Creed. Are you gonna hang a stocking for Christmas?
I don't hang stockings. I hang bolter mags. Keeps the kids humble.
Hascule's melee attack does 3,452 damage, and he takes 1,819 damage from Creed. And if we look at how he stacks up against the competition, that means he certainly is going to be using those blades very well, as he comes in 20th place and that actually makes him the top chaos damaging character that isn't a World Eater, so definitely not too shabby there. And of course his potential with his extra crit chance from his Thrill Seeker's trait will mean his damage cap is even higher than this. In terms of defense, at least against a melee character like Creed, he comes in 25th, and so is still in the top quarter of all characters, and that defense will mean that he's someone that can at least take a good punch, but probably not 3 or 4. So overall, he's in a good place as a character in terms of damage and defense. His passive, Ecstatic Slaughter, is linked to his Thrill Seeker's trait, because whenever he becomes thrilled, so that means when he takes damage or targets an enemy with full health, or as part of his passive, every time an adjacent enemy is overkilled, he deals a good chunk of eviscerating damage to an adjacent enemy unit. And if the unit survives, then they're taunted for 1 round. And this taunting stuff can also be seen in his active ability, Demonic Patrons, because he taunts an adjacent enemy and then gets watched, which is a new effect we've not seen before. While Hascule is being watched, he deals extra damage and takes less damage for every adjacent taunted enemy next to him. And if he defeats one of those adjacent taunted enemies while being watched, then he can use this ability again. However, if he doesn't defeat them, then he loses 30% of his current health. And this active is very cool because it gives him this real risk and reward that we haven't seen since Karn was released. Only it's not risk for other people in your team, but instead for Hascule himself. When looking at his Mythic missions, he needs to score 21 hits in 1 turn, then deal 10,000 damage in 1 turn while being watched by Demonic Patrons. He needs to use abilities 20 times. He needs to defeat 3 enemies that has a suppressed effect in 1 turn, and then he needs to deal 60,000 piercing damage and 60,000 eviscerating damage. And the reward is a Demonic Bolt Pistol. And these are quite spicy Mythic missions in some places, starting right with the first one. I think you'll need to allow Hascule to be surrounded, then damaged, so it triggers his Ecstatic Slaughter passive. Then you just need to go and attack one more character and you should be fine. You could also play around with Ancient Thoriad, Vitruvius or Trajan to add extra hits, but that would need to be an arena, and I think this is going to be tricky to position well. His second mission is also tricky because you're going to need to use your active to make him be watched, and then give him extra damage from things like Ragnar's Warhowl, Trajan's Legendary Commander passive, Eldrion's Doom, or Abaddon's First Among Traitors passive, and then you would have to hit a guild raid boss or high-leveled arena characters. Definitely not the easiest, I would say. For missions 3 and 5 though, it's just playing the game and eventually you'll get them. However, mission 4, you're going to need to suppress 3 characters in a round and then have Hascule kill them. And again, this isn't going to be very straightforward because you're going to need to suppress some champions and then kill them with your passive. Here I would be taking Toth, Volk and Chiron to suppress them while trying not to kill the people around you, and then having Hascule finish them off. Not the easiest again. But do you think there are better ways to do these tricky Mythic missions? Let me know in the comments below. So what do I think about his traits and skills? So the truth is that I really love this new swinging blades around your head stuff that we've been seeing recently. Playing Carrion is very satisfying, and now we have Hascule coming in as well to join the fray. And the truth is that if you just stick the 2 of them into a mode like Onslaught or Legendary Events, they're going to be absolutely crushing the enemies around them, and that does sing to me in a very special way. Back this up with his Demonic Patrons, which allows him this great risk versus reward of being able to use his active again if he succeeds in killing something, or losing 30% health if he doesn't, and you really have a character that's going to keep on fighting for a lot longer than most. I think the ability to taunt is a nice addition to his skill set, and that really gives him this proper 1 versus 1 feeling that you don't get with most characters. The only thing I would say is that he is lacking a little bit in terms of having some unique traits, but the parry one does suit him very well. What modes does he fit into? Anywhere there's a lot of enemies swarming at you, we will see him do really well. So that would be Legendary Events, Onslaught and Survival. I just think he's going to excel in all of those. It just depends with Legendary Events how many battles he actually fits into in reality. In guild raids, I would struggle to recommend him because he relies on having a lot of characters around him, and for most bosses this isn't the case. However, on sub-bosses where you have a ton of spawns around, then he's going to be a really great choice for that in a chaos team. In Guild Wars and Arena, I do see him having a place in the Emperor's Children team, as I'll talk about in a minute, and he is going to be very annoying to fight against there because he's going to continually keep chunking you down or taunting you, which leaves you very open to being finished off by his allies. Now let's talk about his weaknesses, because every character has them, and he's definitely going to struggle against ranged characters as long as they're behind some bigger champions. Because of his 4 movement, he isn't going to be able to be kited very easily, and with a piercing attack that does 80% pierce ratio, he also won't be held in place for very long by anyone, so you need to get some chunky characters in front of ranged characters, and then they'll be able to get him down as long as they focus fire on him. And so who does he work well with? Well, here's where things get really interesting, which is team compositions, and we are seeing a quiet revolution with the Emperor's Children after the release of Hascule, and also with the long-awaited release of the Lord Exultant, who's going to be coming with the next Battle Pass. And I say this because I was quite critical of the team prior to their releases due to the lack of synergy they were really showing. Lucius would go and run around and charge into an enemy, then disappear inside someone. Adamator was being positioned as a ranged buffing champion, but they only had Chiron in the team for that, and there wasn't anyone that could taunt opponents and keep Chiron safe. I said I thought they needed a tanky, taunting champion, but couldn't imagine how they could have one in Tacticus that taunts over multiple turns. Well, I was wrong, because they've gone ahead and given us exactly that, and they've done it in a beautiful way that really balances risk versus reward with his potential health loss. Now I'm really looking at him being an extraordinarily good piece of the Emperor's Children puzzle, and we've had some exceptional factions being released this year, and if you want incredible damage output, then the Emperor's Children need to be played together, and the tactical nuances of their kit is an absolute thing of beauty, and I fully expect them to be one of the top teams in 2026 once people start to play them. Outside of that, if you want to put together a team that clears the battlefield, then stick Revas, Carrion, Hascule, Mephiston and Lucian together. And I mean, that is actually an insane team in general, isn't it? That's definitely something I really wouldn't want to be lining up against, because Revas is going to give you protection to get into range, and then the rest of them are just going to do so much damage, with a really healthy mix of close combat and range damage. So maybe that's something that you could play around with. So what's my overall thoughts on Hascule? Well, my personal take is that he has a great kit on him that's going to fit very well in certain modes like legendary events or survival, but even outside of this, when he's playing with his faction, they're going to be a real powerhouse over the next year. And although he doesn't quite reach the damage heights of someone like Karn, he is an excellent addition to Chaos overall. He's a bit like a Chaos Carrion, and he's definitely going to be carrying some of you to success next year. The other issue that he has is that with such a stacked set of melee damage champions, it's so difficult to understand how to fit another one in there. We've got Ragnar, Karn, Carrion, Harkin, Snotflogger, Titus, and more. And how do you rate someone like Hascule against them? Each of them have their own benefits and weaknesses, and of course Hascule does as well, but would you be picking him above the others? I think it's tough to say I would, but what I would say is that for new players coming through, it's going to be really difficult to get someone like Karn, and so in the meantime, why not pick up Hascule? But for older players, I would absolutely be picking him up, getting him to Epic 1, and then seeing how you feel with the rest of the Emperor's Children characters. In terms of legendary events, we've just had the Farsight event joining us, so let's see how it looks for Hascule within all the current events. Starting with the Dante event, in the Alpha track, he could play, but he doesn't fit into any of the battles. In the Beta track, Chaos are not allowed, so he doesn't play, and then in the Gamma track, he only fits into the no power damage battle, along with a lot of other people. And so he ends up on the Dante event with 50 points, which is well below the average of 189 points currently for the event. Moving to the Trajan event, in the Alpha track, Chaos are not allowed, so he doesn't get to play. In the Beta track, he only appears in the no physical damage battle, and again, it's with a lot of other characters. And then in the Gamma track, he appears in the no bolter damage and the minimum 3 hits battles, and again, it's with a lot of other characters. And so here he scores 170 points, which again is below the average of 196 points for this event. In the Lucius event, in the Alpha track, he appears in the no bolter damage battle, and once again, there's a lot of others who can fit in there too. In the Beta track, it's no Chaos, and so he doesn't get to play. And then in the Gamma track, he only appears in the no power damage battle, and once again, that's with a lot of other characters. And so he scores 95 points, which is again well below the average of 162 points for this event. Finally, for the Farsight event, in the Alpha track, he appears in the No Terminator armor and eviscerating damage battles. In the Beta track, he appears in the piercing damage battle, and in the Gamma track, no chaos are allowed, and so he doesn't get to play, and so he finishes off this event with 275 points, and that is above the average of 188 points for this event. So if we look a bit closer to the current legendary events, Hascule sits in 92nd place, which gives you an idea of his potential for specific battles, and it is a shame to see that he sits quite low because, as I talked about earlier, his potential at wave clearing is quite exceptional. So let's hope that there are more legendary events in the future that are more suited to him. The only real battle that he really stands out in is going to be the eviscerating damage battle for the Farsight event. And with the addition of the Farsight event, we can see a shift in the top scoring champions. As always, as old events finish, new ones are added, and that means the top scoring champions are only a picture of who's relevant right now. If you want to learn more about the best champions for legendary events generally, then check out any of my Plan Now and Get This Character for Free series, as that's going to help guide you a little bit better. My most recent one was Plan Now and Get Farsight for free, and there should be a link for that on screen now. With that said, looking at the changes with the Farsight event, we have Thaumachus and Ahriman right at the top. Then Calandus and Typhus come in, and so that means the top 4 characters just now are ranged. Next it's Dante and Darkstrider, and then we have Yazagor and Matanio, all of whom are decent enough, but all of them struggle to go deep into legendary events. However, next it's Revas, and he is a powerhouse, one of the most important characters that you can level in legendary events generally. He scores very highly in this event, and is one of the top 7 characters I recommend to everyone to level for legendary events. Then, as we move down the list, there's Neurothrope, Lucian, Toth, Tigarius, and Rask. Again, all very good champions except maybe Neurothrope, who struggles with his close combat trait. Patermine, Certus, Abraxas, Archimatos, Tiarch, and Makhotep round out the top 20, and it's really great to see some new characters coming into that places. And so to close this off, the Flawless Blades are supposed to be elite duelists who dominate close combat through unnatural skill and demonic power. Does Hascule live up to that fantasy? I really think he does. He's very flavoursome, and the developers have done a great job with his skills. Will he be a number 1 pickup for everyone though? I don't think so quite yet. But drop your thoughts in the comments. Are you invested in Hascule, or are you saving your resources for the next release? Either way, you can check him out right now in the latest version of the Google Planner Sheets linked below. And if this breakdown helped you make a decision, hit that like button and subscribe for more Tacticus deep dives. And until next time, keep your blades sharp and your tactics sharper.